Hello, my name is Seema. I'm from Estonia, from Tallinn University, and I'm going to present a topic, teenagers' time spent with digital devices, their symptoms of digital addiction and well-being. Co-authors of this study are Heidmets, Konstabel, and Varik-Maasik. This presentation is based on a paper that was published as a preprint in advance. Teenagers are at risk for using technology extensively. Researchers are convinced that children and teenagers are at risk for using technology extensively because they have not yet developed self-awareness and self-control. The border between healthy and unhealthy or addictive use of digital devices lies where the use of digital devices becomes all-embracing and the overuse of digital devices disturb important areas of life and person's health suffers. What is digital addiction? Digital addiction has been conceptualized as a compulsive need to use digital devices to the extent where it interferes with a person's life and stops them from doing important things. Digital addiction is a broad concept that includes such addictions as internet addiction, computer addiction, smartphone addiction, gaming addiction, social media addiction, and social networking addiction. Digital addiction is not a diagnosis. Digital addiction is not found in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Therefore, officially, it is not a diagnosis. During the time of development of our digital addiction scale for teenagers and pilot study in fall 2019, there were no scales in the world to measure teenagers' digital addiction. Purpose of the study was to create a relatively short digital addiction scale for teenagers for psychoeducational assessment of teenagers' behavior and feelings related to digital devices that discriminates between healthy use of digital devices and digital addiction. And the second goal was to assess structural validity and reliability of the scale. Our research questions. The first question, how does the cluster of students who use digital devices in a healthy manner differ from those with digital addiction in respect to digital addiction symptoms, screen time, emotional engagement in schoolwork, burnout, learning difficulties, and life satisfaction? And the second question, is the developed scale thus valid and reliable? Method. We use the mixed research framework for the scale development. Our sample. We collected our sample before and during the first corona wave during the last spring. Estonian-speaking students participated in this sample. There were 4,493 students from grade 6 to 12, and they filled out an online questionnaire. Half of the sample was collected before the coronavirus crisis, and another half of the sample was collected during the first month of the distance learning period. Measures that we used in our study. Firstly, we used the digital addiction scale for teenagers that we developed. This is a one-factor scale with 10 items. It has 7-point scale, never to very often, and internal consistency of this scale is good. The factorial structure of the scale shows that the one factor includes two closely related parts. Attachment to digital devices, like tolerance, withdrawal, and compulsive use in different places, while eating, walking, etc. On this slide, we can see the digital addiction scale for teenagers that measures symptoms of digital addiction. The symptoms are preoccupation, fear of missing out, withdrawal, time management, tolerance, digital orientation, and compulsive use in different places. We also developed 2 questions for screening screen time. The first question, how many hours do you usually spend using digital devices during a school day, before and after school? And the second question, how many hours do you usually spend using digital devices during a non-school day, weekend, and school holidays? We used other measures as well in our study, and the scales that we used are affective schoolwork engagement scale, a single item life satisfaction scale, school burnout inventory, learning difficulty scale. We used all these scales in a K-means cluster analysis. We entered into the K-means cluster analysis the following variables: digital addiction, screen time during weekdays, screen time during weekends, emotional schoolwork engagement, burnout, learning difficulties, and life satisfaction. We isolated 4 student clusters for which mean DAS score were quite different, around 20 points, 30 points, 40 points, and 50 points. On this slide, we can see the K-means cluster analysis illustrated with a figure in the first sample. And on this slide, we can see 4 clusters. The first cluster is digitally addicted students, and the last cluster is healthy users of digital devices. And there are 2 other clusters in between. Let's see the digitally addicted students cluster. They have the highest score of digital addiction, while they also have the highest score of school burnout, and they have the highest score of learning difficulties. At the same time, they have a low level of schoolwork engagement, and they have long screen time, and they also have low life satisfaction. At the same time, the healthy users have all the opposite. They have the lowest level of digital addiction, and they have the highest level of schoolwork engagement, and at the same time, they have the highest life satisfaction. On the next slide, we can see another K-means cluster analysis with the second sample, and we can see also similar clusters. Again, digitally addicted students, healthy users, and 2 groups in between. And again, the digitally addicted group of students have the highest digital addiction scores, while they have the lowest life satisfaction, and healthy users of digital devices have the lowest level of digital addiction, while they have the highest level of life satisfaction. Results: those students who use screens the longest have the highest digital addiction scores and the lowest level of well-being, while students who use digital devices less than other students have the lowest digital addiction scores and the highest well-being. Conclusion: the DAS seems to be a valid and reliable scale for screening student use of digital devices and digital addiction symptoms, at least at the Estonian sample. It discriminates against students who have healthy or addictive use of digital devices. The results support the theory that the border between healthy and addictive use of digital devices lies where the use of digital devices becomes all-embracing and their overuse of digital devices disturb important areas of life and person's health suffers. Critiques and future research. The main study was a cross-sectional survey, not a longitudinal study. Therefore, we can only compare subsamples before and during the COVID outbreak. During lockdown, using digital devices for communication and learning have been a new reality. Therefore, some dust items may need modification to express distance learning experience more specifically. On the next slides, we can see the references that we used in our presentation. Thank you.